Hello, everybody. I'm Helen, and I teach at the Dorothy Benson Senior Services Center. And today is part 3 of our using coils to make things out of clay. And last week, I did the one that was a cylinder. Okay, hold on. Okay, so last week I did I rolled out a slab and I put the coils on. And then when we wrapped it around the cylinder, it opened up these spaces, so I filled them in. Now, I did wrap this very tight, so it's very wet. I have not put a bottom on this yet. And the reason why is because I'm using a different color type of clay, and I didn't want to have to clean up and, get it contaminated. So I'll put the bottom on later, but right now I'm going to show you how to do another way of using coils. Okay. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to use a form, and the inside is going to have coils like this. The outside is going to be smooth. All right. And so we're working in reverse here. We're going to put coils on this is a plaster form. I recommend a plaster form. And then we're going to put after we put the coils on, we're going to put a thin layer of clay on top. So here's another example. So I've got the coils on the inside, and then I've got a thin layer of clay on the outside. They do leave spaces in between, unless you really press hard, then you flatten up the coils. But some of the spaces I added round dots. So I'll show you how, and it doesn't have to be these round circles. You can make some kind of pattern if you want. All right, so let's get started. I highly recommend you use a plaster mold or some kind of mold that doesn't require an oil base. I mean, you could do one like an upside down bowl, glass bowl, and then you could put oil on it or something, but the coils, whatever you put on there might slide off. Okay. So I'll show you with this. Now, the more inclined your mold is, the more chances of it sliding off. So let me get started here. And you can do your coils any shape or size you want. Just keep in mind that you will be putting a thin skin of sheet of clay on top to hold it in. You can try to just do the coils, and then you'll have like a pierced look. The problem is your coils need to be stuck together really good, or else they just fall apart. The thin layer of clay is going to hold my coils together. Okay. So once again, in order to roll coils, you kind of need to, don't press too hard or else you'll flatten your coil. So I am just, this is not a perfect coil, but I'll just cut off the imperfect part. Okay. Okay, this guy got flat here. Okay, I'm going to try to roll this out a little bit thinner than usual. Okay, so I've got this long coil. Okay, you could do short coils, long coils, whatever. And then let's see what I can do here. And then let's see. Maybe you can, I can turn this into eye, huh? Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you want to wet it with the sponge first, okay? Like I just did. Okay, so I'm just turning it and it's sticking to itself because I just wet it. Okay, I'm going to put this right there. And then I will let this drape over that way. Maybe not that way. Maybe this way. How's that? Okay. And then I'll take some more clay. Now I have to, fill in these spaces. So it's just like last week. So these bowls, because they have that little space between some of these coils, if you can't fill those spaces up, even after you glaze it, you're going to have those spaces. You could try to put a little bit extra glaze inside those spots so the glaze will fill up those areas. But so you may not want to use these bowls to, for soup or something like that. Maybe it'll just be good for like chips or stuff that's not liquidy. Okay, I am not making the most perfect coils today. Also, you can twist these coils so you have like a textured coil. You can also braid them. Okay, so I've got this coil again. I'm going to wet it again. And then this time, I think I'll just stick the pointy part here. And then I'll just let it kind of swirl. So I'm kind of I think I'm making a design here. Okay. All right. Let's see. This is getting kind of weird. They might make good soap dishes too, or little tiny, if you have a tiny mold, you can make some really cute small dishes. And when you glaze them, you're going to want to use a solid color instead of those crystalline glazes that have little specks of color everywhere. You might also use a glaze that breaks. That means wherever there's an edge, it kind of turns into a different color. That might be really cool. Okay, so like this is kind of like a solid, even colored glaze. But this one, the glaze breaks. So I don't know if you can tell, but so it's darker wherever it pooled. Okay, so in those little coil crevices, it's a little bit darker. Okay, so we'll make another coil. This one's a long coil. Now wet it again. I wet it so that it will stick to the other coil. And the reason why I use the plaster mold is because the clay isn't going to stick to the plaster. It's going to release. So let's see. Okay, follow that. I'm just going to follow that curve here. This is not a pretty curve. Sometimes the coils will sag, so you have to keep in watch out. Okay. Okay, so next I'm going to do this space. I'm just going to add a circular thing. Okay. So handle it gently because this is like really sticky when you add water to it. Okay, I've got that going that way. Don't press too hard because you'll flatten it on the other side. If you wanted to, you can make a bowl where the outside is going to have the coils, the inside is going to be smooth. In that case, what you do is you put a layer of very thin clay down, roll out a very thin slab. With that, keep that piece, that slab wet. And then you will add the coils directly to it. And then I would cover it very well so that the moisture content will try to even out between the coil and the slab. You can try to press it gently, but you might not want to flatten out your coils. Okay, so now we're gonna fill in this. I'm gonna roll that skinny so that I can fill in that spot. Okay, I don't quite see what I'm doing, but just, let's see. Scoop that in there. Okay. Okay, I'm going to taper the ends here. This one. I'm going to put that right there. I don't think I like that, so let's see. Let's see if I can lift that one little piece up. Okay. And when you're rolling out your coils, you might have to keep moving it on the mat because the mat gets kind of wet in that one spot. So I'll have to keep moving until and look for a drier spot. You can use an extruder, but I don't know, I find the extruder to be a lot of work. I guess if you use it all the time, you get the hang of it and you're a little bit quicker, but I don't like cleaning the extruder very much, so I don't really use an extruder, but I don't see why you can't use an extruder for this. Then you have a bunch of even coils. Okay. So now I've got that small space I have to fill in too. All right, I'm going to put this guy here. Now this surface you're not going to see, okay? It's the underside you're going to see, so it's kind of messy here. It's not that bad. Okay, right here, I'm just going to fill this up with circles of spheres of different sizes. Because that's a little bit too small for me to stick coils in there. Okay. Now with the spheres, I'm going to kind of press those guys. There's a big one here. I need a little tiny one. And I think I'm going to put a real small one there and wet this. And that was a big one. Okay, I'm going to put a tiny one here where that got space and another tiny one here because there's a little space here. Okay. All right, we're going to continue. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, it's a long one again. All right, we'll wet it. I'm going to put this, let's see, what's that look like? Okay, I think I'll start here. Okay. Got that. Okay. When you roll out your slab, you know, you don't want to push too hard on it because it'll flatten one area, but you kind of stretch it this way. Just gently kind of, you know, move it, kind of give it some pressure that way. This one a little bit too long. Put that off there. They don't all have to be even. You might want to play with some coils being thicker than others. Okay, let's see. It's a long one. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go this way. Feel like I'm handling a snake or something. And we'll go around there. Okay. So far, this is what it looks like. Okay. And I'm actually going to turn it this way. If it's drying out, you can, like, you know, pat it with a sponge. Oh, oops. You don't want it to dry out. Now the plaster is sucking a lot of the moisture from underneath. So be aware of that. Let's see, where am I going to put this one? I'm just going to continue this pattern. Okay, looks like I have a space right there, so I'll scoot that. You can go all the way to the edge, or if you wanted to, you could have put a coil here so that it'll have a nice rim on the inside. I'm just leaving it that. See what it's going to look like. You almost have to think in reverse when you're doing this because it's upside down and it's inside out. Okay, have another one. All right. I'm just going to continue and follow this curve or this design. Oops. Okay. If you want, you can make a flower pattern. You can put petals down. You can angular patterns, all right? Anything you want. Just think in reverse though. I can even the rim out later. Okay, it's amazing how much clay it takes. Um, as I get closer to the rim, I might try to make a little bit fatter coils. I think visually maybe it might work better. Okay. I've got a little bit left here, so okay, I'm gonna have to lift one of these up. It didn't get pushed close enough to the other one, so they're already pretty stuck together. Okay, fix that. Okay, now I have enough to put one here, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right, we still have a long coil that I need to put there. So if I was doing this in reverse, I would have that really thin skin of clay underneath. And I will have to pay attention because this is what's going to be visible if I do it the other way. So I'd have to be careful, you know, how I put the coils down, and like I have a torn edge here. I'd have to fix that, clean it up, because that's what's going to be visible. And you could also put feet on this because you can put round circles, that's feet to go along with the coil, or you can put a coil foot on there. Okay. Butt that against there. I'll use this right here. And what I'm doing when I hit a sharp curve, I'm just cut that excess off. I'm just kind of folding it over like that. I'm gonna cut that excess off because it'll bulge out. So I think you can see that. This whole thing's gonna be covered with a slab of clay. And that's it. I have a little bit more here to go. there. Let's see, is that falling? Yeah. Got just a little bit more to go there. So it looks like I've got some thin coils and it's going to be a thin piece, but keep in mind I have to add that layer of clay. So the whole bowl is probably gonna come out pretty thick. Okay. I made this coil a little bit thicker because this is that end part. Okay, and I think it's on there good. All right. Let's see. I missed a spot. Okay. Oops. So it's better to do this on a turntable because I just messed this up. All right. Let's do this on a turntable. And I am going to put it on. Let's see. I thought I had another one. Where'd that one go? We'll just use this. Okay, I've got it oops. I've got it lifted up on this. I have to be careful things aren't sliding. So it looks like I missed a spot here too. All right, I'll put something there. Okay, now I have to be careful things don't slide off. It's kind of sliding off over here. All right. On this part, I'm just, on this open part, I'm just going to add some round balls because, I mean, I could add coils, but as a design element. Okay. And then these I'm going to have to push a little bit so that they stick to, yeah, the other clays. I'm actually going to flatten this just a tad bit. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Okay, round ball. Push that on. And wet it. Push that on a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, I've got this part that needs to be done. And let's see, I'll look at my design. So very abstract design, very flowy design, okay? Just another way to do stuff. This. This coil is way too thick. Okay. Let's see how I'm going to do this one. Oh, that's a thick coil. Okay, well, we'll see what it looks like. I'm actually going to break this one here because it's a thick coil, which lets me go this way. Okay, I can do that. All right. So this will be, it's going to read as a different kind of texture, so that'd be cool. Okay, so I added 3 of those very thick coils. Let's see next. Just having a hard time finding a dry surface here. One thing you can do is you can roll out all your coils, but each coil after you roll it out, put it on like a damp towel so it stays moist. Okay, this one, I'm just going to continue this design. Oops. Okay, so right here, I'm actually overlapping, okay, because I don't want that ragged edge to show on the other side. I've got just a little bit more left to do. I could put round balls on there too, but I think I'm not going to do that. Okay. So I basically have all that covered. I'm just going to gently press it, okay? I know it's going to kind of flatten out, but I really want these guys to be not fall off the plaster mold. Okay. Now there's some areas where I overlap, and I'm going to try to cut that off. Thin it out a little bit. Because it's a little bit bulgy, and being real careful not to disturb anything underneath. Just slide motion. Okay. Hopefully I didn't mess up anything. A little bit here. Maybe a little bit here. Definitely a lot here. Okay. Now at this point, if I wanted to, I could clean up the edge, kind of even it out. Usually I put like a coil underneath. What am I feathering? But I didn't this time, so let me try to clean up this edge. It's a little bit tricky. And you don't want to accidentally cut some of your plaster and get it mixed in with your clay. The other option is you can leave like a rough edge like that. That might be kind of cool. Just don't put the slab all the way to it. Okay. So I need to roll out a slab now. And that means I need space. So I'll put this down. Okay. This is going to have to be a very, very thin slab. And I'm going to need a little piece of fabric to do this. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, I'm going to use this knit fabric. It's going to stretch on me and I might get creases, but I'm going to try that. Okay, so you go from the center out, right? Center out. Kind of guess how much clay you're going to need. I probably don't have enough clay here, but let's try it. I probably should do this on canvas. Let me find my canvas. Okay, you really want to do this on canvas, and you because you're gonna it's going to be very thin, and you're going to lift it up. So, yeah, the knit gave me creases. Okay, so center out, like if you can. Okay, and sometimes you want to, if you can, flip it over. Out. Okay, it doesn't look like I'm gonna have enough. I'll just keep trying. Maybe this will force me to roll out a very thin piece. Still thick. If it starts cracking, just add water. Be wide enough. Oops. This probably isn't big enough, but I'm gonna keep trying. It's gonna be harder when you get thinner. It's really thin. Not sure if this is gonna be wide enough. All right, so put that here. Up. Okay. Okay, so here's the key. You want to wet, if you have a spritzer, you want to spray it wet. Okay. No, don't flood it, okay, just get it wet. And then, let's see if this will work. No, I don't think it works. Yeah, you want one that works, because if you try to take it off again, I bet some of the coils are going to get stuck on there. Oh, mine tore. Okay. So you just, oh, I forgot to wet the clay first. All right, well, let's hope it works, okay? Mine tore, so I either should roll out a new one or kind of patch it. Patch it and hopefully it works. I can hide that patch. Okay, so gently, gently, gently press it. I gotta cut this now. You can put your hand underneath and kind of cut it close to the edge, okay? So because I'm doing it this way, I didn't put that coil on first. I am going to have to clean up the rim, but I can't tell what's going on, so I have to wait until this stiffens up a little bit before I clean up the rim. And I may have to add a little thin coil or something decorative there. Right now, I just have no clue what it looks like underneath. Oops, tore again. This place is really thin. I'll just tear it. All right, let's see if I can smooth out this mistake here. Okay, so it'll be lumpy on the back side, and if you don't like that, you can try to smooth it out. But what that means is you're pressing your coils against the plaster. Okay. Okay, on this one, I'm not going to put feet, so I kind of need it to be level. And what I'll do is, once it becomes leather hard or drier, I can level out the bottom on the canvas board. Okay, so we'll just leave it like this for now. And then when it's stiff enough, I can turn it over without it being destroyed. And I need to clean this. I will take it off the mold. You don't want to leave it on your mold forever because the clay shrinks and the mold doesn't. I'm going to work on the rim there, okay? So right now, on this one, because I put such a thin layer of clay, you can actually see some of the coil designs on the outside. On the others, I put a thicker layer of clay, so some of that, the coils weren't visible on the outside. Okay, you can see the ridges and the designs I made. Okay, now this needs to be wrapped up really tight for a little bit in the beginning because you want the two separate clay pieces to stick together. And then after that, you can kind of like remove the plastic and let it kind of slowly dry. Don't let it dry too fast. Monitor it. Loosely cover the plastic, and then we'll clean the rim. Okay, so that's it for today. We'll finish it up next week, and that's our last 4-week session on these coil pots. All right, so we will see you next week.